All right, traders, if you had followed the trading plan that I gave you in last night's video, you should have had an amazing green day. Literally in the title, I said the bear trap was at 430, which was the exact low of the day where power hour calls ended up exploding very, very quickly for a nice scalp. I also mentioned in yesterday's video, if the SPY moves up, which it did, you're going to want to buy calls at the gap, and it did end up bottoming early in the morning, slightly above the gap, and then later on, it bottomed exactly at the gap for two nice scalps. I ended up taking advantage of those call option opportunities, and I was up over $3,500 on the day. Then, towards the close, I decided to gamble, break my rules, and flip from green to red on the day. So I'm going to be explaining to you the mistakes that I ended up making and what triggered that. But in terms of my team as a whole, and in terms of Trader Society, they absolutely crushed it today. I want to give a big shout out to the Team Trader Society, man. They are absolutely killing it. We had 64 people green today, only 3 red. I'll be sharing with you my essay towards the end of this video on how I ended up flipping red by simply choosing to gamble. Because in terms of today and in terms of these past literally 15 days, being red was literally a choice. But unfortunately for me, the green streak is over. But fortunately for you, the lessons that you're going to learn from that green streak ending is going to be very, very valuable. So stay to the end of this video. Let's start off with the overall analysis. So in terms of the SPY, like I told you, if the SPY gaps up, if we're moving up in the pre-market, we had a nice move up in the pre-market at 433, what are you going to want to do? You're going to want to buy calls right here. This was very, very clear, written in stone. Both of my levels ended up working for calls. The first level was 431.39. That was the gap for calls. In normal trading hours, as soon as the market opened, we had a nice dip to 431.67. I ended up buying call options towards the low. That's where I made my $3,000 profit. That's where everyone absolutely crushed it. And then from there, I told my team within the chat, there is no way I'm going to be able to top that trade. So I told him I'm done for the day. Usually I make 1 to 3 trades on the day. G-Roar, he's an absolute beast. There's days where he makes 5 to 10 trades plus a day and he absolutely kills it. Me personally, I scalp very, very quickly in and out, and I know in terms of what I prefer to do and what my preference is, and that's to make 1 to 3 trades on average per day. So I told my team, I'm not going to be able to top this trade. I'm done for the day. And then I told him very, very clearly, if I decide to make another trade, I'm going to risk half of my profits at the most. Meaning, worst case scenario, no matter what happens, if my contracts go to worthless, then I will be losing half of my profits, which is a $1,500 drawdown, but I'll still be up $1,500 on the day. And I'll be explaining to you how I flipped red because I literally decided to gamble and give it all back, right? And I'll explain to you what triggered that because it's a valuable lesson. But anyways, the next level for calls was at 429.90. And as you can see, our levels worked, man. Our level worked right here, slightly above the gap. SPY bottomed, and we recognized there was a bullish opportunity, so we ended up buying a little bit higher instead of nickel and diming it. And then right here, when SPY closed the gap, it ended up having a little reversal where it went bullish. It hit 431.21 and it spiked all the way to 431.90. These are amazing profits for very, very quick scalps where you can make 20, 30, 40, 50% on 0 dates. If you're doing SPX, the gains could be double to triple that. And then our last level was $430. Literally yesterday's video. Look at the title of the video, man. $430, the exact bottom. Call options exploded. This had almost $1 spike in 4 minutes. Do you understand how big of a move that is on call options? So the point is, man, you got to trade the key levels and you got to trade the plan. Because look, my gains today came from trading the key levels. My loss today came from not trading the key levels. I decided to trade at a bad level for calls. I got caught up in it, and then I started adding to my losers heavily, which means if I'm doing that, if I'm holding my loss and I'm adding heavily and I'm not getting stopped out, then I'm going to begin to risk more than I anticipated, which means therefore I am at risk of flipping green to red in a day. I put myself in that situation, and that's how I flipped red to green and that's how I flipped green to red on the day, right? So you need to trade your plan. You need to trade your key levels. You need to understand what's competent and what's not and what's incompetent. And if you know you're gambling and you're choosing to be incompetent, then you need to understand the consequences for that. And you need to understand the risk involved with doing that, right? So with that being said, our levels absolutely crushed it, and I would encourage you to go back and watch yesterday's video because it explains to you the strategy that we were using. We identified a pattern where the SPY was going to have a bear trap. So if it has a move up, we're going to be buying call options towards yesterday's lows and towards the gap. And that trade idea ended up working out, more than twice today. The low of day yesterday was right here, right towards the gap. And you could just visually see, man, it bottomed slightly above the gap. We ended up hitting calls right around there. And it also bottomed at the gap. So it had a gap close reversal. The gap filled, it had a reversal. And then in terms of this, man, right here, you got this very nice bullish green 30-minute candle after a very, very nice sell-off. You got this green bullish 30-minute wick, and it's right at our key support level, slightly above it, which was 430. That was the next level to buy calls. So this is confirmation to try buying calls slightly above our key level when you see that 30-minute green confirmation, and then it exploded up, and it worked phenomenal. And then right here, this was a very nice trade I had, but I sold it so soon, man. If I would have held this one a little bit longer, I would have been able to, not go from green to red on the day. But I alerted puts at 3:24 p.m., man. 3:24 p.m. I took a lotto trade on puts, and that was the exact high. Right here, you can visually see, man, at 3:24 p.m., this right here is 3:24 p.m., the exact high of day 1-minute candle. I lured puts, and it was a major sell-off. I cut it so soon. I'm a scalper. And then what I was trying to do was, this was what I went wrong. I ended up trading against my strategy, and I ended up trading against my key levels, right? So, I was interested in buying call options for the previous resistance to react to support. So basically, when SPY drops back down to this previous resistance, which was at 431.20, and also you had some resistance at 431.60, right around this zone. It was supposed to bounce. It was supposed to try to bounce and go back up to 432.50. So I didn't trade my key levels, and I decided to do another lotto trade, which is gambling in a sense. And if you're going to gamble, you have to understand, how much are you willing to risk? And the rule to doing that is, if you decide to do it, which you should never do it, but you need to make sure that you never flip green to red. So if you don't have literally the discipline and the competence to cut your loss in a sense, then the most you should be putting in to those contracts is the most you're going to risk. Meaning, if I'm up $1,000 on the day and, if I know I don't have that discipline and I'm just going to let these contracts ride for a loss for whatever reason, maybe because I'm up nicely on the day, then you need to only put in like $250, $500 into the contracts. If they go to zero, yeah, it sucks. You gave back some profits, but you're still green on the day, and that's the goal. The goal is to be green on the day. You don't have to be up a lot on the day, but you do want to be green literally every single day. And then those very, very few days where you are red, those are where the valuable lessons come in. So, like I said, in terms of gambling, it was an incompetent trade. I wasn't trading at the best levels. And if you're going to do that, and you just need to understand, in terms of that, you should not be risking a lot. And the number one rule is simply this. It is making sure, I wrote this within the chat right here. This is what you want to understand. So being right. When you enter a trade and you want to be right so bad, it makes you not want to lose. And if you're going into a trade with the mentality that you're not going to lose, this is what it's going to encourage you to do. It's going to encourage you to hold the position longer. And if you hold a loss, you lose more money. So if you're holding a loss and then you still believe in the trade and you still want to be right, the only thing you can do to win in that situation, and this is what's going to happen, is you're going to add to the trade. You're going to keep on adding. You're going to keep on adding. And when it doesn't work out, it's going to create a big loss because you scaled into a bigger loser, and it keeps on working against you, and you keep on having that belief that you want to be right. So you have to let go of that situation where you want to be right, and you have to respect that, okay, it's okay to scale into a trade. So like, say I'm scalping, right? Say I enter calls at 431 and SPY drops 25 cents against me, and I still believe in the trade. I'm going to add to the position. So if it starts going under the level that I added, then in a sense, you want to cut it. In terms of cutting a scalp, if you add to it, I wouldn't do more than one ad below the level, right? If you're going to do 2 ads, below the level, then you need to make sure that the most of the position size is on the 3rd ad, is on the final ad. So what I'm telling you is, if you're in on 431 calls and it goes to 430.80 and you add, then the next level to add, say it's like 430.50 and you're doing very, very quick scalps, you need to be making sure that the most of your position size isn't at 430.50. If not, then you need to be stopped out at 430.80 once that level starts to crack. So I really don't recommend having more than 2 levels to add. If you go with 3, just make sure that your position size, the bulk of it is in the 3rd level, and then you don't risk more than that. So basically, I flipped red on the day because I did not respect my strategy. I did not respect risk management and position sizing. So if you have absolutely no respect for position sizing, the only way you can come out green in that situation when you are already up on the day, right? So let's say I'm up $1,000 on the day and I have zero respect for cutting my loss and I'm just going to add whatever the case is, right? You need to make sure in that situation that the most you're putting into those contracts is your max drawdown, meaning whatever you're willing to risk, you're still going to be green on the day, even if the contracts go to zero. And you should always have that discipline where, if you're down like 20%, 30% or whatever it is on the contracts, you just sell and you get stopped out. But what I'm telling you is, man, you just need to make sure whatever it is that you're doing, you do not go from green to red on the day if you are close to achieving your daily profit goal or if you are at or above your daily profit goal. That's when losing truly becomes a choice. And I chose to lose. I chose to gamble. I chose to hold the loss. I chose to add to the position. I chose to not respect my strategy in risk management and position sizing and respecting my max pain for the overall trade, right? So it's just having that sense, like, for example, if I'm up $1,000 and I'm willing to risk $500 on the trade, then what does that mean? Does that mean if my contracts go down 50%, am I down $500? If so, then I better cut it. I better not add. I better respect the fact that I lost in that situation, right? Or does it mean that if my contracts go to zero, then I lose $500? So you have to know that. You have to know that beforehand. And if you're just adding into a trade, that's when you're going to start to create a fire in a sense, because you might not know that in a sense because you just keep adding into position and then you're just kind of throwing out the plan, you're throwing out the risk management, the position size, and that's what I was doing in a sense. So like I said, man, losing was a choice. This whole team is literally green on the day for a reason, because they chose to not gamble. They chose to win. You don't have to have a high win rate to win with options. That's just icing on the cake. My win rate today was over 80%. I was doing very, very well, but I flipped red because I held my losers, I added to my losers, and I did not respect the fact that I was supposed to get out of the trade no matter what. And if you can't get out of the trade no matter what, then like I said, you need to make sure whatever you're putting into those contracts, if they go to zero, then you're still green on the day, right? So you need to know how much you're putting in, what you're willing to risk on the contracts before the trade. It needs to all be played out. You can't be playing out the trade as it's going in. You can't just be blindly adding, blindly holding, making up new situations. It has to be predetermined before you enter the trade, right? So those are some tips and tricks I can give you, right? So those are some things that I would very, very recommend. And when you take a loss, when your account has a nice little drawdown, when you have a setback in your trading, that is the best time to analyze what you did wrong when it's fresh in your mind, so you can learn from the lesson, write it down, and it's fresh in your mind. Do not blow it off. Do not get sad. Do not get depressed. That is how you grow. You grow from learning from your losses. You do not grow from blowing off your losses, self-sabotaging yourself, ignoring your mistakes, and acting like nothing happened, and just keep on going at it. So you need to eat the pain. You need to swallow it, and you need to keep moving forward, because without any pain, there's no gains. If you're just going to take the pain and do nothing with it, and you're not going to learn from it, then that same mistake is not only going to keep on happening, but your life's just going to keep on getting worse. So you have to have that accountability, and you have to be very, very real with yourself, what it is that you are doing wrong. So those are the points that I wanted to make. And like I said, man, just when you enter a trade, just don't try to just have that mindset where you're going to be right. Because if you want to be right and you just think you're going to be right, it's only going to encourage you to hold your loss. It's only going to encourage you to add to your trades. It's only going to encourage you to do things that you are not supposed to do that should have been predetermined before the trade. It's going to encourage you to go against the plan because you're trying to be right. And that's not what trading is about in a sense. You need to have everything planned out before the trade, and then you stick to that plan in a sense. If you're going to change and alter things during the trade, then that's going to change the outcome of your trade. And that is why I went green to red on the day. I literally told my team, I'm done for the day. And another thing is, know your triggers. This is one thing. I was doing very, very well. I was up like, $4,000 on the day. I had a trade on calls. It was such a good trade. It was such a good trade that I had on calls. This was before, I had the loss on calls later into the close. But I had this really good trade on calls. I ended up buying the dip. It dropped 20 cents. It spiked back up and then it dropped again, which really pissed me off. And I said, you know what? I just want to play it safe and cut my loss. I don't want to risk having a bigger loss. I'm already up nicely on the day. I'm just going to respect it and play it safe. As soon as I got out, it spiked to my exact target. It was such a perfect trade with a 3.0 risk to return ratio. I was literally risking like 20 cents to make 60 cents. It worked out perfectly, but I literally sold the exact bottom because I wanted to play it safe. It retested the resistance level and it dropped back down. It really pissed me off. So I said, you know what? I'm going to play it safe. I don't want to lead my team in a bad direction. What that did was trigger something inside of me. And then I told my team, I need to walk away because that just triggered an emotion in me where I'm really pissed off and I'm angry now. So what that's going to do is it's going to try to put you in a situation where you want to make money. You want to get revenge. You want to get back in the market because the market just played with you in a sense and it just screwed you. So you need to be aware of what's triggering your emotions. And when those triggers occur, that is when you are going to do something degenerate. That is when you are going to make mistakes. I literally called my downfall. I literally said after that, I need to walk away from the market because that just really pissed me off what happened. And if something's going to trigger you within the market and those emotions are going to rise up, that is when you're going to start making mistakes. So you must be aware. Focus is very, very underrated. You need to be extremely focused within this market. You need to be extremely self-accountable. You need to be very, very self-aware. And when you're making mistakes, you need to see those mistakes in real time with that laser focus. And when the mistakes are done, you need to learn from them quickly, move on, accept the pain, and grow. So I'm going to leave it up at that, man. Those are the tips. Those are the tricks that I wanted to share with you. If there's really anything you can take from this video, if you are green and you are close to your daily profit goal, you are at or above it, you need to make sure if you decide to trade, for whatever reason, you do not flip red on the day. Whether you're risking half your profits, whether you're risking 25% of your profits, that's up to you. You need to do the math beforehand. You need to have the plan beforehand, right? So like I said, for example, if I'm up $1,000 and I enter another trade, let's say the contracts go down 50%. If that means that I'm down $500 and I'm risking half my profits, then that means I'm selling when I'm down 50%. No matter what, I'm not adding. And if you can't do that in that sense, then that means you're putting in $500 instead of $1,000 and those contracts are going to zero, you lose $500, you're still green on the day. You need to understand these things, man. Trying to be right is going to sway you away from what you're trying to do, achieve your goals, what you're supposed to be doing, trading your plan, right? Remember, I flipped green to red because I was trying to be right. I wanted to be right. I wanted to win. And that had nothing to do with what I was supposed to do to end up green on the day, which is why losing is a choice in this particular situation. So those are some things that I would really recommend for you. And like I said, it's okay to scale into a trade. It's okay to have 2 to 3 levels. If you're going with 3 levels on a scalp, you need to make sure the vast majority of the size is at the 3rd level. If you're going with 2 levels, then you have a very, very tight stop right at the 2nd level. You do not want to keep on adding and holding to your losers. These are super quick scalps where we are in and out trading like a sniper. Now, I want to give a big shout out to G-Roar. He absolutely crushed it. He had Amazon calls in the morning. He hit SPY puts. He was doing SPY puts nonstop when he was literally holding SPY puts for like 400% gains nonstop when I was just scalping against the trend on calls later into the close, man. G-Roar's an absolute monster, man. He's an absolute beast, and one of the big reasons why everyone is having such massive success is because of our fuse. We fuse together. We fuse trading strategies together, and we are absolutely crushing it. I'm scalping, he's day trading, and the whole team is crushing it, man. Another reason why I kept trading is, guys, if you are in this floor, this SPY trading floor, the whole team today, look at them, they're all going green. The whole team was taking money out of the market. Keaton was killing it with his call option trades, making tens of thousands of dollars. G-Roar was killing it, making hundreds of thousands of dollars this entire week. Every single person I saw in this chat was killing it. I see people join this chat room every single day. A new person's joining. I see some new people make $1,500 on their first day, $2,000 a day. The amount of money that they are taking and extracting out of the market is compounding into millions of dollars a week. And I'm seeing these guys print and take trades. And when you see and you watch this chat, it's addicting. It's very entertaining. It's very addicting. And you see the money that's being made, and that can encourage you and influence you to jump back in the game. And that's another reason why I kept trading, man. I kept seeing everyone doing so well, and I wanted more. I wanted more of that, man. And greed is not a good thing. You have to know when to walk away. I knew when to walk away. I had that self-awareness. I had that knowledge. I had that education. I said, I followed my plan. I made $3,000. I'm walking away. If I make any more trades from here, it means I'm lottoing. It means I'm gambling. And the most I'm willing to risk is $1,500. Well, I decided to keep on trading. I made a little bit of money. And then I threw it all away not because I kept trading, because I chose to go against the risk management plan. That is why. I chose to keep on adding to losers instead of cutting losers. I chose to put in more money than I was planning to lose, and me putting that on more money led to the bigger loss. It could have all been prevented. I could have kept on trading. I could have gambled. I could have lottoed. But if I stuck to my risk management plan, where I do not flip green to red on the day, most I risk, say like half my profits, I would have been just fine gambling and lottoing. So there's degrees to gambling. There's, it's one thing to take a lot. It's one thing to, be up $1,000 and you're going to lotto some contracts and risk like $200-300. It's another thing to be up $1,000 and you say, you know what? I'm down on the trade. Let's add a bunch of money. Who cares if I go green to red on the day? Like, who cares? Let's just keep on adding to the position. Let's hold the loser. Let's keep on gambling. There's levels to it, man. Do not be a degenerate. So I'm going to leave it off at that, man. Thank you guys so much for watching this video lesson. If you're serious about taking action and investing into yourself and education, I'm telling you, we are absolutely crushing it. Amount of DMs that I'm getting from people who make over $1,500 on their first week is absolutely insane. Everyone is telling me to raise the price, and I've been selling this program in terms of the price way too short. And I'm telling you, we are launching new programs soon. We are raising prices very, very soon, and we will be going likely to a yearly recurring model. So the best time to get in is right now, because in terms of this program, Trader Society, you are grandfathered in at a one-time fee, lifetime access. This is the best deal that you will ever see it at, and the price only goes up. There's going to be big, major changes very, very soon, because like I said, I'm done selling myself short. I'm going all in on myself and on my team, and I will begin to charge a lot in terms of what it should be worth. I will begin to charge a lot more. Like I said, man, this is the best deal you're ever going to see it at. So I'm going to leave it off of that. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. I will see you in the next lesson.